Hollywood has always been a factory of dreams, dazzling lights, perfect smiles, and silver screens built to make us believe in beauty and magic. But beneath that glittering surface lies a darker, uglier truth the industry has spent decades trying to hide. Some of the same stars who defined its golden age also helped shape its most shameful legacy: racism. These weren't just ignorant jokes or harmless comments. They were deliberate words and actions that echoed through generations, shaping how millions were seen, judged, and silenced. From powerful actors who refused to stand beside black co-stars, to beloved icons whose private letters revealed chilling hatred, their fame couldn't disguise their prejudice. What you're about to hear isn't gossip or rumor. It's the uncomfortable truth about Hollywood's most extremely racist stars, the names the spotlight tried to immortalize, but history should never forgive. Dave Chappelle, the master of uncomfortable truth wrapped in laughter. Have you ever had something happen so racist you didn't even get mad? You just thought, damn, that was racist. That's pure Chappelle, sharp, fearless, and brutally honest. For decades, he's lived right on the edge, too funny to ignore, too bold to categorize. His genius lies in saying what others only dare to whisper. But that same boldness has made him one of the most divisive figures in modern comedy. When his Netflix special Sticks and Stones dropped in 2019, the world lit up like a match. Some were laughing uncontrollably, while others were furious. Chappelle cracked jokes about the LGBTQ+ community, particularly transgender people, and critics said he wasn't just being edgy, he was punching down on a group already fighting for acceptance. To many, comedy should challenge power, not target the vulnerable. That debate split audiences in two. Was he exercising free speech or hiding harmful views behind a punchline? While other stars might have rushed to apologize, Chappelle didn't flinch. He stood his ground, insisting that comedy's job is to make people uncomfortable, to question, to provoke, to start conversations. But to his critics, that defense only deepened the wound. The backlash was massive. Boycotts, statements from LGBTQ+ groups, calls for Netflix to pull his special. It became more than a controversy, it became a culture war. Freedom of speech versus respect for marginalized communities. And yet, Chappelle's star didn't fade, it burned brighter. His fans saw him as a rebel against political correctness, while others tuned in just to see what the noise was about. Love him or loathe him, Dave Chappelle is more than a comedian, he's a cultural flashpoint. He forces society to look in the mirror, to argue with itself, to confront what it would rather avoid. But the question still lingers in every laugh. Where's the line between comedy and cruelty? Can a joke just be a joke, or does every punchline carry a price? Kanye West, the genius who fell into his own shadow. It all began with one shocking remark: "Come, let's visit our Holocaust museum, Planned Parenthood." In that moment, Kanye West wasn't just controversial, he became a storm the world couldn't ignore. For years, Kanye thrived in chaos. From declaring himself a genius to hijacking Taylor Swift's spotlight at the VMAs, unpredictability was his signature. But in recent years, his behavior crossed a line few imagined he'd approach. In 2022, Kanye's words took a darker turn. He began posting and speaking out with openly anti-Semitic statements, claiming he'd go DEFCON 3 on Jewish people. The world recoiled. Fans who once hailed him as a visionary now watched in disbelief. Within days, brands like Adidas, Balenciaga, and Vogue severed ties. Adidas alone reported losing hundreds of millions in unsold Yeezys. A partnership that had once crowned Kanye a billionaire now ended in ashes. The fallout wasn't just financial, it was personal. Instead of apologizing, Kanye doubled down. In one shocking interview, he even praised Hitler, a statement that silenced entire rooms. Overnight, the man once called a creative prophet was being branded a dangerous voice of hate. Kanye's story raised deeper questions about genius and responsibility. He's long spoken about his struggles with bipolar disorder, and some argued his words were symptoms of illness. Others disagreed, saying mental health explains behavior, but it doesn't excuse hate. The debate split fans, leaving everyone to wonder, when does a cry for help become a call for accountability? Once hailed as a cultural architect who redefined hip-hop and fashion, Kanye now stands at the intersection of brilliance and destruction. His legacy will forever be marked by both the innovation that shaped a generation and the words that scarred it. Because in the end, this wasn't just about a celebrity meltdown. It was about how far fame can stretch before it snaps, and whether genius gives anyone the right to spread pain. Kanye West tested that boundary, and the world watched him pay the price. Steve Harvey, when the joke went too far. Steve Harvey is one of those names everyone knows. From Family Feud to his hit talk shows, he's built a career on laughter, charisma, and that unmistakable smile framed by his signature mustache. For decades, he's been the guy who could turn awkward moments into comedy gold and make the world laugh along with him. But in 2017, that laughter turned into outrage. During a segment on his talk show, Harvey joked about Asian men while pretending to review a self-help book titled How to Date a White Woman. With a grin, he quipped, "Ain't nobody saying, y'all ever seen them Asian dudes with nice bodies?" The audience chuckled at first, but once that clip hit the internet, the reaction was anything but funny. Across social media, people called him out for crossing a line. For decades, Asian men had been unfairly portrayed in Western media as weak, awkward, or undesirable, and Harvey's comments only added fuel to that stereotype. What seemed like a harmless joke to some felt like a slap in the face to many others. Advocacy groups and Asian American voices spoke up, saying the bit wasn't just tone-deaf, it was damaging. To his credit, Harvey did apologize. He said the joke was meant to be funny, not hurtful, but acknowledged that it offended many people. Still, for a man who had often spoken about his own experiences with racism, the irony wasn't lost on anyone. People expected him, of all entertainers, to understand how harmful stereotypes can be. That disappointment cut deeper than the joke itself. In the end, Steve Harvey's career weathered the storm. He kept hosting, kept writing, and kept making people laugh. But the 2017 controversy remains a reminder that even the biggest stars can have blind spots, and that humor, powerful as it is, carries responsibility. A single punchline can spark laughter, or reveal just how much we still have to learn. Azealia Banks, the name alone sparks equal parts awe and chaos. When she first exploded onto the scene with her electrifying hit 212, everyone thought a new queen of hip-hop had arrived. Sharp, bold, unapologetically unique, she had all the makings of a star. But somewhere along the way, the spotlight shifted from her music to her meltdowns. Instead of headlines praising her talent, it was her Twitter rants, public feuds, and fiery insults that stole the show. Banks didn't just clash with critics or rivals, she went after everyone, from fellow artists to random fans. Her biggest downfall wasn't just the constant drama, it was the language she used. Time and again, she was called out for racist and homophobic slurs, leaving many wondering if she was deliberately destroying her own career. One of her most infamous outbursts came when she targeted Zayn Malik of One Direction with racist remarks on Twitter. The backlash was instant. Fans turned, brands cut ties, and her account was suspended. But even that didn't stop her. Her timeline became a battlefield, full of offensive posts that alienated the very communities that once celebrated her, especially the LGBTQ+ fans who had embraced her early on. It's tragic because Azealia is talented, wildly so. Her artistry, her daring fashion, her fearless voice, she could have built an empire. Yet controversy followed her like a shadow, and much of it she created herself. As the years went on, people stopped seeing her as a visionary and started seeing her as a ticking time bomb. Collaborators backed away, festivals dropped her, and even loyal fans grew tired of defending her. What makes her story truly heartbreaking is that Azealia often speaks powerful truths about how the industry mistreats black women. And she's right, it does. But instead of turning that fire into fuel, she let it consume her. Today, Azealia Banks stands as one of hip-hop's greatest paradoxes, brilliant yet self-destructive, gifted yet haunted by her own words. In the end, she didn't need an enemy. She became her own. Stacy Dash, the fall of a Hollywood rebel. Once upon a time, Stacy Dash was Hollywood's it girl. In the 90s, everyone knew her as Dion from Clueless, sharp-tongued, stylish, and unforgettable. She had the looks, the charm, and a career that seemed destined for greatness. But Stacy's story didn't end with the glitz of red carpets. It became a tale of controversy, isolation, and regret. Her downfall began not on the big screen, but on television, as a political commentator for Fox News. There, she traded movie scripts for heated debates, boldly challenging issues that struck at the heart of the Black community. When she said, "If we don't want segregation, then we need to get rid of channels like BET and Black History Month," it was as if she had set fire to her own legacy. Fans who once adored her felt betrayed. The backlash was immediate and brutal. Social media tore her apart, calling her a sellout and accusing her of turning her back on her roots. Even her cousin, Damon Dash, publicly distanced himself from her comments. In just a few years, the same woman who once graced magazine covers became a Hollywood outcast. But behind the sharp opinions and TV appearances was a woman quietly unraveling. In 2021, Stacy revealed she had been battling drug addiction during those turbulent years. She confessed she had been angry, lost, and judgmental, even apologizing for some of her past remarks. Yet by then, Hollywood had already moved on. Today, Stacy Dash stands as a reminder that fame is fragile, that a single voice, no matter how confident, can echo too far. She had the potential to be a timeless star, but her words became louder than her art. In the end, she didn't just lose her career, she lost her connection to the very people who once lifted her up. Shaquille O'Neal, the giant who made the world laugh, until the joke went too far. Shaquille O'Neal, or simply Shaq, isn't just a name, he's an era. A four-time NBA champion, Hall of Famer, and one of the most dominant forces to ever step onto the court. Off the court, he became a household name. TV personality, businessman, DJ, even actor, the big man with a bigger smile. To millions, Shaq was pure charisma. Funny, goofy, unstoppable. But even legends stumble. In 2002, during what seemed like an ordinary radio interview, Shaq made a joke that would follow him for years. While talking about Chinese basketball star Yao Ming, he mockingly imitated Chinese speech, saying, "Ching Chong Yang Hua." At the time he laughed. The hosts laughed. But when that clip spread, the laughter stopped. For many, it wasn't just a tasteless joke, it reopened old wounds. Asian Americans called him out for echoing the same mockery they'd endured since childhood, the cruel, ching chong, taunts that reduced their language and identity to a punchline. Coming from someone as loved and respected as Shaq, it felt like a betrayal. When the backlash hit, Shaq apologized. He said he meant no harm and respected Yao as a competitor. Yao himself, with his trademark grace, said he didn't take it personally. But the damage was done. The moment sparked a deeper conversation about racism in sports and the power of words spoken by public figures. Shaq's image of the lovable giant took a hit, not enough to end his career, but enough to remind everyone that fame doesn't protect you from accountability. Years later, when the clip resurfaced online, it reignited the same debate. How far can humor go before it becomes hurtful? What made the controversy sting even more was the irony. Shaq himself had spoken about facing racism as a black man in America. So when he made a racial joke about another community, it cut deeper. Fans expected him to know better. Shaq remains a legend, a global icon who continues to entertain millions. But his story serves as a reminder that even the biggest voices can echo in ways they never intended, and that sometimes, laughter can leave a scar. Virgil Abloh, the visionary who redefined luxury and faced his own reckoning. Virgil Abloh wasn't just a designer, he was a movement. The first black artistic director at Louis Vuitton's menswear line, and the mind behind the revolutionary brand Off-White, Virgil blurred the line between streetwear and high fashion. He turned sneakers into symbols of status and hoodies into runway art. For millions of young people, especially black creatives, he proved that you didn't have to change who you were to sit at the table of luxury, you could build your own. But even a visionary isn't immune to controversy. In 2020, when America erupted in outrage over the killing of George Floyd, emotions ran raw. The nation was grieving, demanding justice, and confronting its deepest wounds. And in that storm, Virgil made a misstep that cost him more than he ever expected. He posted online condemning the looting that had broken out during protests and mentioned donating $50 to bail funds for arrested demonstrators. That single number, $50, went viral. To many, it sounded tone-deaf coming from a man who symbolized success and luxury. Social media exploded with criticism. Memes mocked him, and hashtags like #Virgil Abloh 50 painted him as out of touch with the very community that had lifted him up. People expected Virgil, as a black cultural leader, to stand entirely with the movement. Instead, it felt like he was protecting storefronts more than people. The disappointment was deep, not because he was perfect, but because he had represented possibility. His words, however unintended, struck a painful chord. In the days that followed, Virgil tried to explain. He said his message had been misunderstood, that he had donated far more privately, and that he supported the fight against racial injustice. But the internet rarely forgives, and for some, the damage was already done. Still, Virgil's story isn't defined by one mistake. When he passed away in 2021 after a private battle with cancer, the world mourned a man who reshaped the language of fashion. He made creativity look limitless, proving that street culture could walk proudly beside couture. Yet his 2020 controversy remains a stark reminder. With great influence comes immense responsibility, and even those who change the world can stumble when their words fail to meet the weight of their legacy. Spike Lee, a name that sparks both admiration and debate. He isn't just a filmmaker, he's a cultural architect, a truth-teller who's never been afraid to stir the pot. For over 4 decades, Spike has used cinema as his weapon, tackling America's deepest issues, race, class, and identity, with raw honesty. Films like Do the Right Thing, Malcolm X, and Black Klansman didn't just entertain, they challenged audiences, forcing them to confront the uncomfortable realities many would rather ignore. But being fearless comes with a price. Spike Lee's bold vision has often led him straight into controversy, especially accusations of anti-Semitism. The criticism traces back to his 1990 film Mo Better Blues, where 2 Jewish club owners were portrayed as greedy and manipulative. Some felt these characters leaned into damaging stereotypes about Jews and money. What began as social commentary quickly became a firestorm. The Anti-Defamation League publicly condemned the film, claiming it perpetuated harmful imagery that could deepen real-world prejudice. Spike pushed back. He argued that his art reflects truth, his truth, not hatred. He believed cinema shouldn't be censored to protect comfort zones. To him, storytelling meant confronting complexity, not avoiding it. Yet, many Jewish viewers felt the pain was personal. When a filmmaker as influential as Spike Lee touches on stereotypes, even unintentionally, it can echo beyond the screen. That's what makes this controversy so complicated. Spike has built his legacy calling out injustice against Black Americans. His films fight racism head-on, often giving voice to the silenced. But this very courage, the drive to expose one truth, can sometimes blur into hurting another community. It's the tightrope every artist walks when wielding cultural power. And still, Spike Lee's star never dimmed. He went on to win Oscars, direct commercials, teach, and mentor new voices in film. But the shadow of that controversy lingers, a reminder that great storytelling carries great responsibility. Movies don't just mirror the world, they shape it. Spike Lee's career proves that power, and the weight that comes with using it. Jeffree Star. Love him or hate him, there's no denying his impact. With his bright pink hair, diamond-studded lifestyle, and brutally honest attitude, Jeffree built an empire out of lipstick and controversy. Jeffree Star Cosmetics turned him into one of the richest and most recognizable beauty moguls on the planet. But behind the Bentleys, the Birkin bags, and the YouTube drama lies a past that refuses to stay buried. A past stained by racism, scandal, and words that can't be taken back. Back in the mid-2000s, long before the luxury mansions and makeup launches, Jeffree was just another MySpace musician chasing fame. That's when old videos started to surface, shocking clips of him using racial slurs, laughing at offensive jokes, and making cruel remarks toward Black women. These weren't edgy jokes or youthful mistakes. They were hateful words that revealed something darker. As his YouTube empire exploded, those ghosts came back to haunt him again and again. Each time a new video resurfaced, social media went wild. Hashtags demanding boycotts trended. Fans unfollowed. Brands distanced themselves. And each time, Jeffree released an apology, tearful, scripted, and often too late. He said he changed, that he was young and angry back then. But soon after, more drama followed. Accusations of manipulation, bullying, and racism behind the scenes. To many, it felt like Jeffree's remorse was just another PR move, not true growth. Yet somehow, he never disappeared. His empire kept growing. His product sold out. And his loyal fans defended him, saying at least he was real. In a world built on filters and fakery, Jeffree's unapologetic boldness kept him alive in the public eye. But no matter how much money he makes or how many apologies he offers, his name will forever carry the shadow of his past. Because the internet never forgets, and the words he once shouted in anger have become the ghosts that follow him everywhere. For a man who built his fortune on being unapologetic, it's ironic that the one thing he can't escape are the very words he refused to take back. Lil Wayne, the legend and the controversy. Lil Wayne. The name itself changed the sound of hip-hop. From a teenage prodigy in New Orleans to a global icon, he gave us anthems like Lollipop, A Milli, and 6 Foot 7 Foot. His influence reshaped an entire generation, launching careers of giants like Drake and Nicki Minaj, and redefining what rap could be. But even legends stumble under the weight of their words. In 2020, at the height of nationwide protests against police brutality, Wayne shocked fans during an Instagram Live. While many artists stood with Black Lives Matter and spoke against systemic racism, he suggested that people should blame themselves for what they were going through. To millions who saw him as a voice of the streets, that felt like a slap in the face. The backlash was instant. Social media exploded. Fans accused him of being out of touch, of forgetting where he came from. Activists called his remarks dangerous, an insult to generations who had suffered discrimination, profiling, and police violence. For someone who had lived the reality of poverty and racism, it felt like betrayal. This wasn't the first time Wayne sparked outrage. In earlier interviews, he'd claimed, "I don't see racism," pointing to his white fans as proof that it didn't exist, a statement many saw as painfully naive. Critics said he mistook personal success for progress, ignoring the systemic barriers most people could never escape. Yet Wayne's worldview is shaped by his own history. He's often shared how, as a child, a white police officer saved his life after a self-inflicted gunshot wound. That experience left a mark, perhaps explaining why he sees law enforcement differently. But personal gratitude doesn't erase the collective struggle. His words may come from experience, but to many, they erased the pain of millions. Lil Wayne remains one of hip-hop's most gifted voices, but his story reminds us that even icons can lose touch with the very streets that once crowned them. Nick Cannon, a name once synonymous with charm, humor, and versatility. From Drumline to America's Got Talent to his wildly popular comedy show Wild 'N Out, he became the face of fun, energy, and family entertainment. For years, he seemed unstoppable, the guy who could make anyone laugh and host anything with ease. But in 2020, everything changed. What began as an ordinary conversation on his podcast Cannon's Class turned into one of the most shocking scandals of his career. During the episode, Nick made remarks that many called anti-Semitic, repeating old conspiracy theories about Jewish people and power, dangerous ideas that have fueled hate for generations. The reaction was immediate and fierce. Viacom CBS, the network behind Wild 'N Out, severed ties with him within hours, ending a partnership that had lasted more than a decade. The internet erupted. Fans were stunned. The man who had built his image on positivity and laughter was suddenly canceled, accused of spreading hate. Overnight, Nick Cannon went from Hollywood's beloved host to one of its most controversial figures. Social media turned against him, and organizations condemned his words. For many, it wasn't just a PR crisis, it was a moral betrayal. Yet, what followed showed another side of Nick. He didn't hide or lash out. He apologized, publicly and repeatedly. He met with Jewish leaders, listened, and vowed to understand the pain his words caused. He called it a moment of awakening, a lesson in humility and responsibility. Some saw this as genuine growth. Others believed the damage could never be undone. But one thing became clear: Nick Cannon's story wasn't just about a scandal. It was about a man confronting his own ignorance in the public eye and trying, however imperfectly, to rebuild both his image and himself. Whoopi Goldberg, a name that commands respect across Hollywood. A rare talent who's achieved what only a handful ever have. An Emmy, a Grammy, an Oscar, and a Tony, the legendary Idiot. Beyond her iconic roles on screen, Whoopi became a household name as one of the outspoken co-hosts of The View, where her boldness and sharp opinions made her both loved and feared in equal measure. But in 2022, that same fearlessness sparked one of the most talked-about controversies of her career. During a live discussion on The View about the Holocaust, Whoopi made a statement that instantly went viral. She said the Holocaust wasn't about race, but rather man's inhumanity to man. She explained that since both Nazis and Jews were white, she didn't view it as a racial issue. The backlash was immediate and intense. Critics, especially Jewish organizations, condemned her remarks, emphasizing that the Holocaust was fundamentally about race. Nazi ideology was built on the belief that Jews were an inferior race that had to be exterminated. To many, Whoopi's words felt like a painful erasure of that reality. Within hours, social media erupted. Headlines exploded across every major outlet. Whoopi quickly apologized, clarifying that she never meant to minimize the Holocaust's horror. Still, the damage was done. ABC suspended her from The View for 2 weeks, a stunning turn for someone who had spent decades standing up against injustice and intolerance. For Whoopi, it was a moment that reminded the world how even the most respected voices can stumble, and how the line between conviction and controversy can be razor-thin in the public eye. Chris Rock, the sharp-tongued genius of comedy. The man who can make an audience laugh while forcing them to face uncomfortable truths. From hosting the Oscars to headlining blockbuster films, his wit has always walked that fine line between humor and controversy. But even the boldest voices can cross a line. In 2016, the world watched as Chris Rock took the stage at the Academy Awards, a ceremony already under fire for its lack of diversity. The hashtag #OscarsSoWhite was everywhere, and many believed Chris would be the perfect host to expose Hollywood's double standards with his trademark honesty and humor. And for the most part, he did. Until one moment changed everything. In a skit meant to poke fun at the industry, Chris brought 3 Asian children on stage, calling them accountants. The joke leaned on old stereotypes, that Asians are good at math, quiet, and stay behind the scenes. What might have been written as harmless satire instantly backfired. Viewers around the world saw it not as clever commentary, but as a painful reminder of how easily comedy can reinforce the same stereotypes it claims to mock. The backlash was immediate. Advocacy groups and fellow celebrities criticized Chris for being racially insensitive, especially ironic, given his long history of speaking out against racism toward Black people. It was a rare misstep from a comedian known for his social awareness. Chris later downplayed the controversy, but the moment lingered. It became a case study in how comedy, even when meant to challenge society, can sometimes stumble into the very prejudice it's trying to expose. And this wasn't the only time his jokes sparked debate. From comments about women to riffs on race and relationships, Rock's comedy has always been divisive, brilliant to some, offensive to others. Yet, despite every headline and every backlash, he remains one of the most fearless voices in stand-up. The 2016 Oscar skit reminds us of one thing: laughter has power, but power comes with responsibility. Because what makes one crowd roar with laughter might leave another feeling unseen or disrespected. So tell us, which of Chris Rock's moments shocked you the most? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit that like button, and don't forget to subscribe for more untold truths from behind Hollywood's bright lights.